One thing is for certain. Just because it's tried and true doesn't mean it's working right now. So the big question is this: where can you learn what is working right now? The strategies, the tactics, the psychology, and the exact how-to. How to grow your business. How to blow up your personal brand and supercharge your personal growth. That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answer. My name is Sharran and welcome to Business School.
So Alisa, how did this whole fascination with credit start for you?
I bet you look at me and go, what? Like, why would credit? You don't exactly look like a credit person. I think that I've always had a real heart for helping the underdog. I've been 5'9" since I think I was born. So there's something in you that takes the lead a lot. Right. I was always kind of the mama hen, and in high school, all my 12, little girlfriends that were little, would all look to me like, what are we doing this weekend? And what's that? You know what I mean? So I think I've always kind of taken the lead in subjects that I know help, that help the masses, I guess you could say. Yeah. So I've been in mortgage lending since 2003. And at the time, I didn't even realize this, but 2003 was the first year we could all see our credit report for the first time. But It was a fascination, like from the beginning with me, because I knew it was a game changer. It was something that where if someone's score was there, then they could move forward, buy a house, and do things. That was pretty much it. But in 2003, that wasn't a pain for anybody because we all had a pulse. We all got a house. It was just like they were giving them out at auctions, like get a water bottle, get a house, And so we all got houses. And so it wasn't really that impactful. But then when it crashed, when everybody crashed, I've always been such a positive, empowering kind of mentality person naturally anyway. But that was my time when I felt like, you know what, we're going to come out of the cave. We're going to come out of the closet, once we quit hiding from these collections and servers, that are coming after us from the crash, that eventually people would emerge and then they would have no idea what to do next. And I knew the only way our housing industry will ever come back is if people know how to come back. But I'm 42 and I never got taught how to come back. At our age at 2003, we were just all coming out of college and nobody really taught me, sat me down. And I knew then I pretty soon knew that everybody I knew was the same boat. Yeah. And there was actually a lot of shame about it. Yeah. There's a lot of shame about it, especially just not being able to say I've pulled my credit.
Did you have to, you understood credit from, being a lender and how it impacted someone, whether they could make a purchase or how their application was. Yeah. But did you have to stop and say, well, I need to going and learning something to go then teach it to someone else is a completely different learning, right? Like you have to know it viscerally, you have to know it in your nervous system.
Yeah, you do. And I'll tell you what, pain will do that. Not only the pain of me going through a divorce, but going through the crash myself and everything. But in 2012, in the middle of the night at 2 a.m, I found Dave Ramsey in the middle of the night. Yeah. Like everybody else, he had just come out with his book in 2012, which was pretty monumental because if you think about it, he published his whole Financial Peace University Extreme Money Makeover in 2012, which was the same year when we saw the entire adjustment change to how that credit score really impacted your budget, finances, and everything. Overnight, it went from a 680 being the top to 800 is where you need to be to really save, not pay as much as everybody else. Right. Okay? For the lowest interest rates. Yeah. But the same year it came out. But in the middle of the night, I was reading and I thought, boy, that's a huge opportunity because he's endorsing some real estate agents in different states that have gone through his financial piece. And there's only 2 for Arizona. What an opportunity for some agents. And I thought, you know what? Real estate agents could probably learn this stuff. And if I could, on a personal note, teach them this stuff personally, right, I would really probably make some huge connections with agents on a personal level to where they wouldn't fire me if I didn't get the docs to title it. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be like that. It would be a different, more impactful relationship.
Yeah.
So I decided to put on a class, and I put 20 agents signed up, $100 to be in front of me, to be with me for 9 weeks.
Hold on. Normally somebody would say, hey, I want to get in front of agents and
I'll pay you.
Program. But you did it right from the beginning. You're like, hey, if you don't pay, you don't pay attention. Right. Yep. So
$100, you got to be invested. Yeah. Right. You got to be here. I got to have you here every single week with me. And all I had to do was flip on the TV for Dave and go, here we go, And so about 9 weeks in, I'm watching it and I'm like, wait, what's he saying about credit scores? Like, is he saying cut up the credit cards? And not to go off on a thing here, but my mother-in-law at the time was just going through gastric bypass. And I remember at the moment going with her doctor and I said, so she'll never gain the weight back. You're gonna cut it. It's gone. She'll never gain it back. And they're like, yep, she'll never gain it back. I'm like, yeah, but like, are you teaching her how to eat again or like do things differently? Because the patterns led her up to that. Yeah. What's gonna change? And they were like, no, she won't gain weight. And sure enough, a year later, she had gained it back. And I watched and I went, maybe it's that we don't cut the credit cards up. Maybe we learn how to use them. Yeah. Maybe we learn how to put them in our life.
Yeah.
Make them work for us. We become CEO of our money, Dave. They don't have to be debt. So I started kind of my motivation was to prove Dave wrong in a way. I love Dave Ramsey, but I thought, okay, wait a second. This isn't for everybody. What if you don't have 100,000 billion, to put down? And, now somebody with no credit scores can get a mortgage, but they're going to pay for that mortgage like they had a 620 credit score. So why wouldn't you just do something to where you could still maintain a great credit score, but not have to go into debt?
Yeah.
And that's when I started really exploring using the tools I have as a loan officer, started using the simulator. And I really started mentally going, wait a second, if how much somebody is going to pay, if this person comes into me and they're going to buy a house and they have a 670 credit score, but if they had a 740 credit score, that same $250,000 house would be $400 less a month.
Amazing, right?
And I'm like, 400. So they're telling me they can't qualify for anything because of their debt ratio. But if I could improve their score, now they don't qualify for 250, they qualify for 335.
Yeah.
Same payment. And I started using it as a MacGyver tool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I started going, because they changed the way loan officers got compensated after 2012 as well. Yeah. They said, you don't get paid like charge points, charge origination, gets them paid on the rates, we don't get paid like that anymore. It was just kind of you're going to get a flat fee based on the loan amount. Right. And I thought, well then, so if I'm not going to lose anything by teaching them how to improve their credit, and I can manufacture my own buyers, my own borrowers from anybody, 400, 300 FICO, but I put the right things in place and I get them there. They're my buyer and they're my buyer for life, because now we've got a significant impact going on.
Let's talk about.
I just kind of kept going with that.
Yeah. So this is I wrote down so many questions for you, right? And so
it's interesting. Human beings, we get really like I see it happen every day. I just want to say, like, people get very like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And then they start reading and they get their credit report and they're like, wait, I've got questions. I'm like, I know, I do 100 TikToks a day about them.
Well, let's talk about this for a sec. So is this really a computer generated number?
It is. It's based on a recipe, just like if you were going to make a cake.
Yeah.
And I called you and said, we're going to make cake. You have a bowl of nuts right now. Nothing but nuts. And you're trying to get rid of all the nuts in the bowl to make a great cake, and it's never going to make that cake. Yeah. So we got to get flour in the bowl. Yeah. We're going to put some flour in the bowl, like a credit card. You're going to charge $20 a month and pay it off every month. You're going to know the day they're going to report your balance every month. You know that. And then you're going to have another installment loan, which is just a savings account I'm going to direct you to that actually reports to the 3 credit bureaus that you saved every month. You don't have to go in debt, to have a good credit score. That's how it's going to go,
But this is amazing though, right? I think that what gives me a lot of confidence, just as a consumer, one, and I think pre-show I told you, like I've never even, it's been years since I couldn't even guess the ballpark or where it is.
Yeah.
But more importantly, I like anything, knowing if if it's an algorithm of sorts, if there's a recipe, if there's a formula for it, I know that if I did certain things, it gives me confidence that I can get to where I want to go, which I think is a super powerful safety thing for people, right?
It is. It's been taught to us that it's so confusing. It's so complicated. Doctors can't figure that out. Do you know what that's done to my head? I am queen of the world. I mean, honestly, every time I read a newspaper where they're like, it's so complicated, people with PhDs don't understand. No, it's really like 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
ABC 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, let's talk about it. So first, my question was, is there, do we as consumers have certain rights when it comes to the report? Like, how often can we pull it? What can we see? What can we get? Like, what are the rights that we have?
So you don't have a right. I used to date a guy that used to get mad in the car and say, you know what? It's not even right for the government. They should have to change our credit score. I'm like, well, the government's not even involved. Not even involved, you know, like in that sense. There's certain laws that protect us in the sense of what can be reported on credit. It has to be accurate. The 3 credit bureaus have to they have to abide to law, you know, they have the Consumer Protection Bureau, that Finance Protection Bureau, that's basically nothing more than, you know, Big Brother. Right. I mean, I've heard even from collection companies that have said it's the presence of knowing they're there that makes us want to do things more
accountable. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So, I lost my train of thought because I was thinking about
no. So those are the rights. So the rights,
laws and the rights, right? Yeah. And so we, as a country, we get access to all 3 of our credit reports once a year for free. The reports, different than credit scores, okay? Reports. We can go right to annualcreditreport.com. It's the only government site you can go to, and per Fair Credit Reporting Act, it's your right to be able to access your reports. They don't just get mailed to you. Right. You have to go in there and access them and print them like right there, but now what they've done with COVID is they've changed it for the first time in history to free weekly. So the big key thing is that is such a massive thing that people don't realize. You get access to your information being said about you. I'm very vain. Maybe that's why I like credit, because I'm like, I want to know what people are saying about me and how it's affecting my financial legacy. Okay, right now.
Totally.
I think more people should want to be interested in that. But once you start diving in and going through your 3 credit reports, you know, side by side, and really looking at the information, if there's inaccurate information being reported, it's your right to dispute the information. And the credit bureaus all have a time frame. It's 30 days typically that they have to reach out to that creditor to confirm the information. Now it is all digital. It's not people talking like, do you think they need to pay it? I don't know. It's digital. So sometimes a number gets missed or something. There's errors. Right. And then within 30 days, the credit bureau have to respond to you by either saying, sorry, we know, you know, we got the information and it's continuing, or it's deleted now if they couldn't verify the information. Now, sometimes they'll say they verify it and we already know they don't. So what the next step is that credit repair typically teaches you is to write what's called a Section 609 letter. And that asks the bureaus to actually show me verification of the debt that you verified for me. That's when they usually can get it deleted on that second round of letters. But all of that stuff, though, is not going to matter. The whole thing I hate about credit repair is they're looking at your whole credit report, 7 to 10 years of information, and they're charging you based on what they see. When I color your report, we black out 90% of it to get to 2 pages. And 2 pages that you're going to have, this is the action for the red accounts. These are the action for the yellow accounts, because we color them a certain color. And you're really doing it all yourself. If anything, people pay me for guidance or for coaching, but really this is me teaching you how to do it yourself and not have to rely on anyone else.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. So on the, I don't think anybody knows how these 3 bureaus work, right? So at a very high level, why do these 3 exist? And is there something that the average consumer needs to know about these 3?
Yeah. The most important thing is that there are three companies that are not government, even though they say bureau, they're not government entities. These are private companies. Okay.
Right.
Their main thing, they're very, very lucrative businesses. Okay. Yeah. These three companies have people, the creditors report the information to on you. And so then, they're the ones that are holding on to this information, but that information is being collected for TransUnion, Equifax, Experian to then turn around and market it to companies that want to market to you.
Of course.
So if they want they want a list of people that have a FICO between 620 and 600, Freedom Debt Relief can call and buy all those and call them and say, how you doing? Do you need some debt relief?
Yeah.
And so they're using all that personal information. And I've always questioned that, like, who cares if I'm on TikTok and they steal my information? I don't have anything really sad, like big to steal. I put it all out there. And then you start thinking about, like, what could they steal? It's behavior. It's literally like that. It's almost the monitoring of your behavior that's the part that creeps me out, because then it's like all of a sudden you're talking about pools one day and next thing you know, Facebook's just pools, And so that's it. The three credit bureaus are very separate. They don't talk to each other. The only time you can call one bureau and do something where it acts on all three is doing like a 90-day fraud alert.
Yeah.
You can call one bureau and it pushes it to all three. But otherwise, if you want to freeze credit, you got to call each one. If you have something showing on Credit Karma, you have to get very specific with your eyes. Is it the TransUnion account that they're showing, or is it the Equifax? And don't just look at the score. You need to look into the full report and you need to look at the details. If all you do is look at Credit Karma and you look at just the TransUnion and Equifax Vantage scores they offer, you're never looking at Experian. When you go in to get a mortgage, we pull all three of the credit reports and all of the information merges together. So if it's only on one report, it's going to show on a tri-merged credit report for a mortgage.
Got it.
You have to focus. This is Burger King, In-N-Out, and McDonald's. If you go to ask for a cheeseburger, they might even be able to be using the same ingredients, okay? Yeah. But it's going to taste very different.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and so is there a so I need to, as a consumer, we need to look at all three and kind of keep our eyes on all three.
Yep.
And so it's not just getting one doesn't give us the full picture, right?
And not looking at one score. You have over 50 scores. You could go right now to myfico.com and buy 28 of them for $60. And it gives you 28 of your different scores. So if you go to buy a car, everything is an industry specific score anymore. So if someone says to me, I have an 800, it depends on what score they're talking about, because the bank card scores, they go up to 950. So 800, you're not that great. I know you think you're great, I'm just kidding. But every time I get it, well, I have an 820. How do I make it better? And you're just like, shut up.
Yeah.
I don't want to date you. Okay. That's how it starts now. Yeah, I have good credit. I'm like, hi. But that is the truth. You got to know the range. I mean, at first, Credit Karma's Vantage score, Vantage score is a credit score that competes with FICO. FICO's been the industry standard. FICO's like a machine. Like if you were in math class in high school and you used to stick the computerized test that you put in,
the
filled
bubbles,
in with your pencil on the C. Remember that?
Yeah.
C was always the right answer.
Of course, right?
And then you slipped it in the machine right before you walked out of the class and it said, boom, boom, pass or fail.
Yeah.
Imagine that three credit bureaus walk over to a machine and they say, I need a FICO. I need the FICO 8 version.
Right.
And they're going to get an Experian version of FICO 8. They have three singleized models for FICO.
Got it.
Vantage has one model, a tri-merged model, and that's applied to each bureau. Anyway, that's going to bore the shit out of you. So I'm not going to say more of that.
This is good. Let's talk about this. So I wrote on a bunch of so my audience shared a bunch of questions when I told them that I was chatting with you. So I got a bunch of rapid fire questions for you because I think this can get exciting, right? So if I don't know anything about anything and I'm going to go pull my score at annualcreditreport.com, I don't even know. And
no scores.
Oh, just the report.
No scores there. Yeah. Don't pay for them either. They'll try to get you to buy them.
So if I pull the report, like what is the one or two things that I should be looking for? Like what's the first thing that I should look for?
Focus on dates. So you're going to be looking at these different accounts that have reported information on you. Keep your eyes focused on the dates. The date, they'll say date opened, date updated, date reported, date of last activity. The dates are what you're looking at. Your credit scores are mostly impacted by the last 24 months of information reporting. Once you get past 24 months, let's say you had a collection on there, it hasn't updated since 2016, okay, but it's on there, it parks for 7 years. You pick it up and you just start going at it, start calling these people. And two ways. One, you'll call them and try to get them to, pay an old debt because that's what you think you got to do. You'll end up for a collection, if they update that balance to 0, it's going to update the date of last activity, the date reported. It brings it back into the last 24 months of your life and drops your score. If you get it deleted, it will probably, if it's within the last 24 months, it will probably help your score. But if it's over 24 months ago and you pay it and they don't, and even if they get it deleted, if it's the oldest account you've had opened on your credit, it will drop your score because it will, even though you paid the collection, because it will be the oldest account opened, you move into a different category where you're compared to different people in there. So your scores will really change and it won't be positive.
Yeah, super interesting. So let's ask this. So this one, everyone asked this. Well, should I close credit cards?
No. So you want to do that very strategically. You always want to, the ideal formula is to have two of your 2 credit cards that you've had opened the longest, that you have that set up, that you find out the day they report your balance each month. It's one day of the month. You got to find out what day they're going off of.
How do we find that?
You know what day, if you know it's the 18th is the day they go off of every month of what you owe, you might change the day you pay it to the 15th instead of paying it on the 20th now. Because if you go pay it off on the 20th, they're going to update and they're going to say you owed 900 out of 1,000. And you're using 90% of that available credit card and your credit score will drop. One of the biggest things that your credit score is going to be impacted by is the choice you had monthly on credit cards. So if you don't have a credit card at all, you're missing a huge piece. If you do have a credit card, you have to know the day they're going to report your balance, like what day they're going to grade you of the month. And it's not the day you pay it. So you've got to dial in, it's not given to you.
How would I find out when they
on your credit reports, on annual credit report, if you look in the date, it'll say date last reported, and it'll say August 11th, and you'll go 11th. Right, it's around the 11th of the month. Now you can call the credit card companies and ask them, but remember, they're talking statement closing date, billing cycle date. They're talking due date. Yeah, that's the stuff you'll see on your mortgage statement.
Right.
They don't really want to tell you that they're going to be on one day of the month saying to the bureaus what you owed. How many of the 10 cookies in the cookie jar did you eat? Did you eat 1 and had total self-control? Or did you eat 8? Because that credit score is going to be mostly impacted by your control level of the cookies.
Interesting.
So you want it, and you don't want to be 0.
Right.
So that's why I'm saying if you pay your credit cards off in full every month, this applies to you. You need to make sure that they, on your 2 oldest accounts, you have a $20 balance reporting. Once you have a $20 balance, it's better than 0. Your score will be about 15, 20 points higher with precisely a $20 amount reporting, regardless of the limit. I know it, that'll be the craziest thing. You'll go, what was she talking about? I'm serious. $20 on 2 opened credit cards. Then what you can do is the remaining accounts you still have open, those credit cards, you can slowly stop using them. After about 6 months of non-use on a credit card, it'll start falling out of your credit score mix. And then you can start closing those. But you just don't want to do that until you have those 2 open credit cards set up on that system where you can use the credit card the rest of the month any way you want, but you gotta know the day that they're gonna go off of.
Yeah.
So that's going to be half of your credit score.
Yeah. So I think if people just if they got nothing else, if they just got this, right, it'll completely change. So I just want to reconfirm two things. Number one, I need to know the reporting date, and I should maybe set my auto payments to the day or two before the reporting date, right?
Leave just a $20 balance or charge 20 if the balance is zero. You want to time it. It's something where you'll watch your credit report for a couple months, or you can do it even on the Credit Karma app under accounts. You can look under each credit card and it'll say last date reported. Then you'll know, okay, it's around the 15th of the month. So when I'm telling people to build or rebuild credit, it's so precise. You have to make sure that it's not reporting more than 10% of the limit. So whatever the limit is on the card, drop the last digit. You do not want that credit card reporting more than that balance, or your score will be lower.
And that's awesome. So are you saying that so a lot of people have told me, hey, I should go open a new card. Let's talk about opening cards. How does that work? Is that a good thing?
You want to be careful. Yeah. You don't want to open too many too fast. That's why I always tell people, if you don't want to just go applying for cards randomly where you don't know what you're going to get approved for. Okay. At the same time, if you go to like Credit Karma, they're going to start pushing companies that they sell your information to so they can give you a free score. And they're not always the best. Credit One is number one that I talk against, they're not a good company. I've seen more trash and more lates and errors and problems when people have done nothing wrong than anybody. But I push Open Sky. I don't get paid from them. Although I did find out yesterday that they're like on a back order now, like because of customers coming in. But Open Sky is a credit card company by Capital Bank that doesn't have a credit check. And so if you've been denied even by a secured credit card, you're putting up your own money to get a secured credit card that reports to all three credit bureaus. Sometimes you get denied, and that doesn't feel good. So you want to be careful on where you apply. And that's why with my little 3-step system, I tell you exactly where to go. Open Sky, and about 3 months after that, Discover is going to be a great second card for you. And then the self-lender account for your installment. And that's all. That's the 3 accounts you need. You just need to maintain. If you have more than that, you need to subtract a few to get to the 3. Yeah. If you have 2, you need to get 1 more, Yeah. 2 revolving, 1 installment.
Let's talk about the snooty folks for a second, right?
Okay.
The high net worth folks.
Yes.
Are most of them, they have no idea about their credit score at all. And good for them because they have the liquidity to pay off stuff, et cetera. So right. I appreciate that. A lot of them are very heavy Amex, right? They're like Amex is their entire life. They have the platinum card, the black card, whatever. Do you have any guidance around, is there other card? Like, how do you think about that?
Amex is just one of those that really isn't gonna, you just got to make your payment on time, but it's not, it doesn't move the score much. It's just not one of those cards where you can carry a higher balance or you can carry a low balance. It doesn't really move your score.
Interesting. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. This is does my score really get dinged when someone makes an inquiry?
So it depends. They're called soft inquiries versus hard inquiries.
Okay.
And a hard inquiry, it really accounts for total, like less than 10% of your score having inquiries. However, if you're going to apply for a mortgage or a car and they run your credit, 10 times, in a 2-week time frame, you can have several car places and lenders run your credit multiple times, and it counts as one hard inquiry.
Right.
But you have soft inquiries that happen every day when banks will get pre-approved, trying to see if you're pre-approved or not. You can go to like an opt-out prescreen.com and get yourself off some of those lists, for them to be able to do that. But soft inquiries don't hurt you. You can run your own credit 100 times a day and it will never hurt you. It will never be an inquiry on you. Just think about it. If you're applying for a car, a credit card, a home loan, a car loan, insurance is a soft inquiry. When they run your credit for a cell phone to see about what kind of deposit you're gonna have to pay, or utilities, it's a soft inquiry. And a lot of times they call it a soft inquiry because they're pulling your Vantage score, which it's not even a FICO score. So it's not even going to impact the FICO that we see like on a mortgage for a car or for a car. But yeah, you can pull your credit many, many times, but you still don't want, what you don't want to do is in a short amount of time for 12 months, in a 12-month time frame, be applying for a car, applying for a home, applying for a credit card in a short amount of time. It might dock you 5 points on your credit, but that's really, I've seen about 25 inquiries before on someone's credit in a year, and I got them all deleted and it moved her 2 points. So it really depends on the rest of the profile. It doesn't have as big of an impact. You still just don't want to let anybody run credit for you,
Got it. Can you talk about, even on your TikTok lives, which is crazy, by the way, you do one every day at noon, is that right?
I just changed it to Monday, Wednesday, Friday, because I used to do on Monday through Friday. But I still, on Tuesday and Thursday, I just come in at different times to reach a different audience. But yeah, it's pretty consistent.
Which is, you literally, like, everyone should follow you on TikTok, because you just sit there, like, you do Q&A the entire time.
Yeah, sometimes an hour and a half, and there's 1,200 people that come in,
which is amazing.
That time frame.
Yeah.
It's insane.
So one of the things that whenever I kind of chime into the lives, one of the things that I see you talk about often is how much, like, being late starts to crush you.
That's a killer.
And
it's the biggest impact of your score too.
So how does that work? Is being late, like, what is late? How does it hurt?
Yeah.
Like, talk to me about late.
Sure. And it's easy to say, I will tell you, the majority of my late payment people are people that make over 100,000 a year. It's the majority of people that just go, fuck, I have the money. Excuse me. Like, I have the money. I'm not worried about it. And then they miss it. They're on vacation. They miss it. And they go, they're sporadic 30-day laters. Right. Don't do that. Okay. You will screw yourself so much. You really have, income doesn't have anything to do with your credit score. You really have to get a system set up that's automatic, and you got to keep track of your stuff. So one 30-day late, it can drop your score 100 points.
Wow.
It depends, and I'll tell you why.
That's crazy.
There's a double whammy that happens. Everybody in the country that has a credit score is put into, think of it this way, like a box, okay? I think of it like cliques in high school. Like, there was the drama club, there was the band, there was the prom queen and the king. Okay, you got all these groups. In that group, if you're in that group, you're compared to the people in that group and their behavior.
Right.
So there's only 2 out of the 10 scorecards most credit models are built off of. 2 of them are the bad ones that you've had a bankruptcy. Okay. So those 2, let's say those 2, you're surrounded because you had a bankruptcy in the last 10 years, you're in this group.
Right.
And everybody in there's had a bankruptcy. Let's say that the range of numbers that you can be in that place of being in that category is everywhere from 500 to 699. That's the maximum you can get to having that present on your credit. Okay, right. So then you're compared. So let's say that compared to this person who doesn't have any open credit cards yet, okay, you're doing pretty good. So out of that percentage, now you have a 699. Yeah. Because you're right there. So then the bankruptcy falls off at the 10th year, right? And you're going, my score is going to go crazy. Yeah. And it drops. And you're like, what? You moved over into a new category of people. So when you start being compared to this new group, let's just say that this whole group, they have an open credit card. They've had this much time in their history. They keep their credit card balances. So you're moving in this category. Now you're in a category where your credit card balances are a little high, but you still have a 750, 760 credit score, but your balances, you probably are getting up there. It's like probably 50% of what your limit is, okay? Okay, then you're in this category of box of people that carry a balance on their credit cards between 30 and 50% and don't have a late on their credit report.
Yeah.
You get moved, 130-day late. You get moved over into the category of people that have had a 30-day late. And when you're compared to that group doesn't keep as high of credit card balances. And so the double whammy, you move not only into the box of the person who's got a 30-day late, but a person who has not only a 30-day late, but high credit utilization. And that blocks you from really being able to move up until you're outside that 2-year term, that 2-year time frame of when the late occurred. The only thing I can do with people to get their credit score to move up quickly, after 7 months after a 30-day late is to get their credit card balances paid down to the $20. If they continue to keep them at a high level on top of having that late payment there, their score is going to suffer every month. It's going to feel like a anchor is on their score until 7 months. If the balances on their credit cards are low, their credit score will come up about 50, if they lost 100, about 50 points at the 7-month mark. Okay. But at 24 months, it won't even feel like the 30-day late was in there.
Yeah.
You move into a new box, but I'm just telling you, the way to fix it is either to call and of course ask them for a goodwill or courtesy removal.
Yeah.
50% of the time that works. If it doesn't work, the only thing you can do is turn back to the credit cards and get those things paid off as fast as possible. Don't close them and have just a $20 balance showing. Yeah. And that will drown out the bad with good quickly. That's the only thing you can do.
So what is when you called, you teach these scripts a lot, which are great.
Yeah.
I have a unusually weird 30-day late. It's never happened before. I've been a customer.
I've been with you guys for 4 or 5 years. Is there any way I can get a courtesy removal? Can I get a goodwill removal of the 30-day late? Do you guys provide those? Is that part of your policy? Yeah. And it's 50-50. Like I will tell you, nobody provided it 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And collection companies did not delete. I'm just saying. But what I've happened, I'm very close with a few people inside those industries that just over the last 2 years, the evolution of both of them, of hearing collection companies that now it's more 75% of them that are even putting it right on their website that they'll delete a collection. And it was unheard of a year ago. So I feel like these goodwill removal letters, we've had to kind of almost teach the industry. The more we talk about goodwill and courtesy removals, the more often they'll give them.
Well, the interesting part is this, and I don't know if you've noticed this at all, is that I'm generally like, you have no idea when you're calling into a company who's assisting you. So like I stop, whether I'm calling cable or whatever, I just stop and I'm like, how kind can I be right now?
Totally.
Right? And it's like, I even say right now, hey, how's it going with all this COVID stuff? Are you doing okay? And they're like, okay, this guy, who's this guy? Now, whatever I ask for.
That is so the key. That was the thing people said to me about the script video I did with collections. Is like, you know what I noticed more than anything else from a collector point of view or whatever is the kindness, is that you are polite and you are kind, which we don't get. But when we get someone like you who sounds all like, Mimi, hi, can I, then we're like, more than willing to jump in and help. I'm like, yeah, people who are appreciated will help you beyond belief.
Oh, totally.
That's such a power thing, especially if it's authentic, even better.
So I could ask you like 500 more questions about this stuff, but there's a lot more resources. But before I go into the resources, I'd love for you to tell the little financial engineering thing you did for your mom. That was so awesome.
Yeah. I mean, the quick story is my mom came to me about when she was about 61 years old and I'm going to be retiring in a few years. She was married and she said, I have about 25,000 in credit card debt and it's amongst 8 credit cards. And between the 8 credit cards, when I make the minimum payments, which is about what we can handle every month, it's about $1,600 when I add it all up, what the minimum payments are on this. And I've looked at it, and at the end of the year, I always owe a little bit more. And I've not used the cards in years. So how am I owing more if I'm making a $1,600 payment every month? And we figured out, she wasn't even making the minimum interest. Minimum payments aren't based on you paying that thing off. It's just enough for you to slide by for the month, So you're not actually, sometimes you're even adding on. Well, my mom had got to me and said, I can't do this much longer, and I call it renting your debt. Okay, the rent-a debt. And you're just, throwing money away. So I have her go over to lendingclub.com. She gets a 3-year loan. And the 3-year loan, at first she's like, oh yeah, right. I'm not taking on a 3-year loan at a 15% interest rate or 19% interest rate, because we're thinking in a car term, 3 or 5-year loan. And I go, do you know what your interest rates are on your credit cards? And then she gets them all out and she's like, oh my gosh, it's like 20%. I go, and it's not even that. It's not the interest rate. It's the how long are you paying that interest for?
Right.
Because when you look at it, 3 years at 50% interest, okay? What's the total interest you paid over those 3 years?
Yeah.
Versus 30 years, at 5%. You want to know what you'll spend on 200,000? 150,000. You know what I'm saying? It's the interest over that term.
Right.
So she goes over there, she applies for the 3-year loan. They give her a loan for $890 a month. I'm like, you are already used to making $1,600 payment a month.
Yeah.
So instead of 3 years, we'll cut that term in half. You'll get paid, pay this off in a year and a half.
Right.
So she starts making the payments. 30 days goes by though. And once she takes the money, pays the credit cards all the way down, gets 2 of them set up on the $20 charge a month, keeps the other ones open. And now she's got this new installment loan reporting on her credit. Installment loans aren't looked at the same. They don't care about what you owe or how much you started owing and then how much you owe now. It's just, are you paying it on time? That was the agreement you made. Are you paying it on time? Right. When you don't pay it on time, you get hurt. When you pay it off, your score will drop when you have an installment loan, okay? But as a credit card, it looked like her credit cards just all got paid off with cash.
Right.
Because it doesn't recognize that the installment loan paid it off. So she got the cash. 30 days later, her score goes up 100 points. She went from 670 to 780. And then from a 780 credit score, she got cheaper car insurance, cheaper home insurance, refinanced her car. It saved her another $500 a month. So then she's making a $2,100 payment to pay it off. And so 9 months later, she was debt free. And then she had $2,100 every month that she started giving to her retirement guy. And this is at 60, by 62, I'm looking at her going, that's a much better plan. This is a much better plan. I like this. Not inheriting 25,000, but
that's so good.
Getting a little something.
That's so good. That's awesome. So you've got an awesome book, which a lot of people can't see. I have right in front of me, which is very cool.
Yeah.
You have a course, which very cool. It walks you through all of this stuff, which everyone should take. So it's at colormycredit.com, right?
Yes.
And so you got those two, but even if people are not on TikTok, they should get on TikTok just to follow you, because literally,
Insta. Yeah.
And Instagram, but like literally, you crush it on both those platforms on the value that you provide.
Thank you. Thank you. On my new website, we've really been working on. It's launching. I'm hoping by tomorrow. We're putting the last tweaks on it. It's like I've never been so excited about something because it's just a regular website, but it's really cool because the TikToks go in the background, and I didn't realize aesthetically, like it looks like Monopoly. Like, so when you open up the site, it looks like Monopoly, like your boardwalk, but there are TikToks going by, and then it's got this great personal message, and then it really directs you to all the different tools and how you color the report and everything. It's all just so integrated. So had to do a total update after everything has happened, Well,
this is so cool. So we'll link up the new site. We'll link up the book and the course all in the show notes. Can't thank you enough.
Thank you.
This is I think a lot of people just have no familiarity with
That's what my friends have been saying. They're like, you got to just let the world catch up with you a little bit. Then you're going to be like a rock star. Okay. Yeah. But nobody knows what the heck you're talking about right now.
Which is awesome. Well, can't thank you enough for doing this. Thank you so much for being on. This is super fun.
Cool. Thank you.